Hi, everyone. I just wanted to touch base with you on my trip to Belgium. Many of you have asked, they wanted the itinerary of what I did and where I went and how I travel. So I am a solo traveler. And I actually love going by myself. It's very peaceful. I know what I want to do, so I go and do it. And I stop when I stop, I go when I go. But traveling as a single woman, to Europe, there are a couple of precautions you should take. And one of the things that I do is I always book a hotel that is usually a five-star hotel. And, I booked a hotel in a great location. I know pretty much what I want to do because I research. I flew to Brussels. I stayed in Brussels and I was there for a week. That was kind of my home base. But I didn't do Brussels for 7 days. I took one day and went to Bruges, and then I took another day and I went to Ghent. I took another day and went to Antwerp. And those are all little towns in Belgium. And then one day I went to Paris. Now, if you had gone to Paris for a week at Christmas, it would have been double or triple the price of what I paid for my stay at a five-star hotel with airfare and breakfast every morning. So that's another key thing, is that I want breakfast every morning. I want to get up, get my coffee, know that I have a good meal. I grab an apple or a banana and I take it with me to go. And I usually take like a cup. It's funny because I like to, let me just grab this cup because I live by it. So I have a little Tervis cup with a top. So I put my cold drink in it. And so I usually do a little festive, Christmas holiday thing. That's the Tervis cup, so that's for cold. But I like my coffee to go, so I always look for these, at Marshall's. And then when I have my breakfast, I'll fill it up with I actually had macchiatos every morning. And so from a nice macchiato cappuccino machine, and filled this thing up with espresso and nice warm milk, and out the door I go for my day. So let me tell you a little bit about Brussels. I went for Christmas. Now, I booked my trip on Expedia, and I do round trip airfare, five-star hotel with breakfast, and I had transfers. I actually had a private transfer, so it was very, very nice, from the airport to my hotel. Dropped off and picked me up. So I booked that before I even go. So it's all paid for. And you're going to drop your jaw because it cost me $1,800. So that's pretty amazing, especially the hotel that I had stayed on. Now, key things about your hotel. I like a five-star hotel because I want to stay in a nice location. That's number one. Number two, I like location is everything. So you want to be close to the things you want to do. The Grand Place was one place that I wanted to go. Now, if you Google Belgium or Google Brussels, it will give you like 10 things to do. So you have all kinds of information. You just have to do your own research and find out what it is you want to do. But I did that, so I knew what I wanted to do. And so I stayed in an area where I was 5 blocks from the Grand Place. I was about 5 blocks from the Central Station. I had a station right outside my hotel, so I could, take that subway to anywhere I wanted to go. Now, I didn't use that much because I did walk a lot. There were Christmas markets everywhere, ice skating rinks, the carousel, the Ferris wheels, cathedrals. The Grand Place, though, was probably the highlight of Brussels. It's just very, very, very old buildings. And if you're on my Facebook, you'll see all the posts that I did. So that was about it in Brussels. I knew that I would want to go to Bruges. Bruges is kind of like the Venice of Belgium. There's canals and there's boat rides. It's charming. There's little castles. It's amazing. The history goes back so far. So you're kind of in awe. Well, it was a holiday week. Now, in America, when it's a holiday week, they gouge you for everything. But in Europe, the trains round trip. So I went to Bruges from Brussels, round trip for $10 on the train. And normally it would be double or triple that price. But because it was a holiday week, they discount. So when I got off the train in Bruges, they actually had free buses transporting you anywhere you wanted to go around town. So I was like, this is heaven, like I had no idea, but it worked out. So the nice thing about Europe is that you don't need a car, you don't need to rent a car. You basically are mass transit, which is so nice. And don't be afraid to learn it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Also, Europe, like their language is Flemish, but French, mainly French. But in Europe, because you've got Belgium is bordered by the Netherlands, by Germany, by France, by Luxembourg, Switzerland. So you have all these different languages. So their second language is usually English. Most people will know how to speak English, and most people are willing to help you. So don't be afraid to ask questions. I'm not afraid to ask questions because I'm in your country. So I ask questions all the time, and you are also not a tourist when you travel. You are a traveler. You're never a tourist. You want to be a local. For 1 week, you become a local. So I became a Flemish person or a Belgian person or whatever. And so I want to go where they go and eat where they eat and eat their food and experience. It's all about the experience. So Bruges was pretty incredible. Some things to do in Bruges. You've got to take the boat ride. Now, it did rain that day. And one thing to keep in mind about Bruges is that all the shops close at 6 o'clock. So at 6 p.m., like everything shuts down, even cafes. It did rain that day, which was kind of a bummer, but there's still lots to do. I did get to tour a castle in Bruges. I did take a boat ride, even though it was raining, drizzling. You just dress appropriately. And I did get to go to the cathedral where I saw Leonardo. Oh gosh, I'm losing it. There's so many things that I saw. Michelangelo's Madonna and Child. So that is the marble that he sculpted, and that was done in 1505. That is in the cathedral that is in Bruges. So you can Google all of these things and like the top 10 things to do in Bruges and go see, and then go see them. I'm also looking at my list here. So that was pretty much Bruges in a nutshell. Bruges also, I did buy some lace. So let me find some of my stuff, my fancy schmancy stuff that I did buy. I did buy some lace because they're known for their pretty lace. You can get tablecloths and things like that. So here's another that has my G initial. That was really nice. And Bruges was a lot of fun. There's a very romantic, very quaint, very charming, all cobblestone. So you can't go wrong. Now, another day I went to Ghent. Ghent was my favorite place. So Ghent, took the train, $10 round trip. It is not as far. It was maybe a 30-minute train ride from Brussels. And when I got off at Ghent, it's so funny. I'm like going with the fish, swimming upstream. You just follow the flow to exit the train station. And so anyway, they had trams. So Ghent has all these trams all over the city. That's really cool. So you get a ticket. You have to buy a ticket. It's actually outside the train station. So you have to go outside the train station. And when you exit, it's kind of to the left. There's a tram station. And you go in, it's a small little building. You go in and buy your tram ticket. Now, tram ticket for an entire day, which is hop on, hop off, was 750 euros. So another great thing. And that got me to wherever I wanted to go in Ghent, and then got me back to the train station when I was ready to go. Also, just keep in mind, trains are running like in the morning every 15 minutes to Ghent, every 30 minutes to Bruges. So they're constantly going and then going back to Brussels the same. So like you don't have to set your schedule to just get the round trip, but then you don't have to be like on a 7 o'clock train coming back. You just get to the train station. Just know when the last train leaves because you want to make sure you get that last train. Otherwise, you'll be booking a taxi and that's not going to be cheap. But, that's the beauty about traveling in Europe. So in Ghent, it was one of my favorite places. I was awestruck. It was amazing. Now, I did do the castle, which is Gravenstein. It dates back to 1100. That's pretty incredible. It's a medieval castle. The count owned it, and basically it's a lot of fun. They give you headphones. You walk through the castle. Great pictures, great views. You can go to the top, and then you've got a full view of Ghent from the top. It's beautiful at night. You know, but all these cities are beautiful. Like when you're there during the day, they have a certain atmosphere. But then when you're there at night, it totally changes. So it's really a lot of fun. So Gravenstein is definitely a must do in Ghent. Now, when I took the tram, I got off. Everything was in walking distance. So like if you're looking at a map of Ghent and you're thinking, oh, you know, will this take me up to Gravenstein? You know, or if it doesn't, you get off the stop before. Believe me, you can walk. I walked like practically that whole city. It was fun, and I probably did it a couple of times. There are several bridges. St. Michael's Bridge is pretty well known. There's a cathedral on one side of St. Michael's Bridge, and then you have a view of all of the guild houses, which are like the boat houses on the river, and then all the cafes. And then on the other side of the bridge, you have another cathedral, the Belfry, and then another cathedral behind that. So the view and the fish house is there, the fish market. The view, like it's a cobblestone bridge. And when you're on top, it is stunning. I mean, it's just like nothing I have seen before. That's just so beautiful. Kind of takes your breath away, took mine away, and I loved it. So I never get tired of walking those kinds of streets. And what did I do? I took a boat ride. That was really fun. You go right behind Gravenstein and you see it from a different level, you know, because it's on the river. So I took the boat ride. I went to a cathedral where I did see some panels of the crucifixion. That's very, very famous. And the thing about it is all of these cities have these huge cathedrals that are so, so old. Underneath a lot of them, you will find Roman ruins. So, you know, you're just going back to history. And then Ghent, I found a little store in Ghent. I just kind of happened upon it because I walked forever and ever. Every corner you go around, there's like another cobblestone street, and you just go walking down this street, and where does it take you? You know, it's just like a wonderland. But it was since 1896, home linen, handmade in Belgium. This is family owned. This was just like a little wrapper. It smells like lavender. I love it. And I actually bought a bunch of lace there. So that was kind of fun. That was exciting. What else? I bought chocolates. I bought hot chocolate. I bought scarves. Oh, I did buy a hat. I bought a hat in Ghent, and I bought a scarf. This little scarf here. These are so cozy. You'll find them everywhere. So you don't have to pack like a lot of scarves and stuff like that. You're going to need them, but it's always fun to buy one there and then use it that week. So I did that. So Ghent was kind of a highlight for me. And then the next day I went to Antwerp. Antwerp is the Diamond District. So Antwerp is another city. I did, one of the best museums that I did go to was the Rubin House. And this was fantastic. I had so much fun. If you like art, this is your place. You have to go here. So Rubin House is, he was an artist, and that's actually his picture. His portrait is in the house, so you will get to see that. But the book goes through like every portrait, and it will tell you like the year that it was painted and who painted it. And he lived there in Antwerp. This was his house, his residence, but he had apprenticeships with people under him. So they would come and learn from him and paint. And so they also would work on paintings together. So like there'll be paintings, and you know, every page it'll be numbered and it'll tell you. And then like number 2 is the Rubens house in Antwerp, here from 1684 to 1692. Those were engravings, you know, so it's really laid out very, very well. And it's quiet, it's dark, you know, the way they preserve the paintings and things like that. But they are just stunning. Like the oil paintings are so colorful, you know, to be dating back, you know, to the early 1600s. That's pretty amazing that they are still in existence and look like somebody just painted them. So that was fun. That is in Antwerp, and that is not far from the Central Station. The Central Station is historical. When you get out of the train in Antwerp, it's just gorgeous. I mean, it just is beautiful. It looks like an atrium. It looks like you're in a greenhouse, actually. So that's really cool, and everything is in walking distance from there. You just get out and start walking. There's streets and streets of shops, but the Rubin House is not far from the Grand Station. And then I also wanted to do the Diamond Museum, which is called the Diva Museum, and that is actually down by the river. Now, Antwerp is much bigger than Bruges and Ghent, so it's a bigger city. So you have, again, your belfry, your cathedrals, your cobblestone streets, lots of shopping. The Ferris wheel, they have an old castle there. They were renovating it, so I didn't get to tour that, but I did walk by it and see it. Lots of places to eat, too. Cafes, waffles everywhere. You know, the waffles in Belgium. In America, we're used to kind of syrupy, soggy, chewy waffles. That is not a true waffle. And I'm not a big waffle fan because of that. But the waffle that I had was very light, very airy, no syrup. They put fresh whipped cream on it, and mine had strawberries. So it was really good. It was just light. It wasn't heavy. We kind of doctor our stuff up so much, and I think that's why we're so unhealthy. But it was so good. So you have to have a Belgian waffle. The other thing about the food is mussels. Now, I don't like mussels, but mussels are huge in Belgium. So get yourself a pot of mussels. You'll see everybody else eating them. I did not try them, but I did have some oysters, and I went for the lobster one night. So I kind of splurged. You have to splurge. You're on vacation at least one night. Do yourself a good dinner. Now, another thing to do on your trip is there's a lot of tours. Like they have, Belgium is known for waffles, it's known for chocolate, it's known for beer. There's all kinds of beer tasting tours, because their beer is so well known. And I did try some beer, and it's delicious. So the chocolates, you can do chocolate tours. Now, I did not do a chocolate tour, but I did find another traveler that they travel with their children, and they did their own chocolate tour. So here's how you do it. There are actual chocolatiers, and Elizabeth's, that's the name of the chocolate store. Elizabeth's is a 2019 chocolatier who won. So you want to go to the small little chocolatier places, and I can give you a list. Some of them, Elizabeth's would be one. Mary's was one of my favorites. There's a Mary's right in Grand Square. You'll also see Mary's in Bruges and Ghent, but those are chocolatiers. Their chocolates that they make for the royal family, and they've been making them for the royal family for decades. So Mary's is one of my favorites. Then you also have Neuhaus, which I did go there as well. Neuhaus. And so I don't know if I'm saying that right, but at least you have the spelling. But one thing that I did get it from Neuhaus was hot chocolate, and this is pretty cool. So this is like a dark hot chocolate. And here's the hot chocolate. So what you do is, this is what the chocolate looks like. Let me see. Can you see that? Yeah. And here's a little bag. All right. So you take a couple of these, and you warm your milk up first. And then you put a couple of those in, and you mix, put fresh whipped cream on it. And then you take a little piece of chocolate. Like I bought this from Mary's. This is actually a sample of dark chocolate. So that I got at Mary's to bring home. Mary's had my favorite. They were like caramel salted pralines. And you want to learn what's the difference between a truffle and a praline. So I'm not going to tell you that. You're going to figure that out when you go. But I had a caramel salted praline, and it was my favorite. Also, like the coffee pralines with white chocolate. Takes, oh, yummy. So good. So that's fun, and you're on an adventure. So remember, this vacation is about exploring, and it's about experience. It's trying new things in a new place. And so you can go for a tour with someone, or you can get out a map and just say, hey, let's figure out where these places are and let's stop, because most of these places will give you like a piece of chocolate free. And if you buy their chocolate from them, they're going to give you a free sample. So Belgian chocolate is the best. Now, those are some of the chocolatiers. Like, you don't want to go to like the national, like the ones we know, like Godiva. You'll see a couple of Godiva stores. I didn't even step foot in a Godiva store because we have that here. So you want to go to those that you haven't seen before, and there's several. So that's kind of fun. I did do that in Brussels. That's the whole thing about being on vacation, is that you want to experience everything, try what they're known for, you know, and it was the best vacation. I also happened to go to Paris for a day. So I did do a lot of research before I went, and Paris, I did book the fast train from Brussels, and it wasn't that expensive. So I spent a day in Paris. Now, if I had gone to Paris the week of Christmas, it would have been very expensive. So I really liked my little home station in Brussels, because from there I could really go out and travel. Now, a couple things that I did in Paris was the Eiffel Tower, Versailles, and the Louvre. I found the Louvre to be very, very crowded. Of course, it's Christmas week, but I did get to see the Mona Lisa, and that's why I went. But I was out of there. It was too hot in there. It was too crowded. It was too noisy. So, and it's a huge museum. You cannot even do all of the Louvre in 1 week. That's how big it is. Versailles, that was something I wanted to do. I had a great time with Versailles. It's just kind of like over the top. It's over the top, over the top. So you've got to go see Versailles, the palace. And then the Eiffel Tower, of course. So then I was out of Paris. I had kind of had enough of Paris. I was good because it's a big city. There's a lot of people. Pickpocketing is huge. I was approached, and I was with someone. So someone that I had met on my tour, they adopted me. So sometimes you want to kind of get adopted by somebody if you're hitting it off and whatnot. But he was definitely approached me, and with pickpocketing, how they work is as a team. So one will talk to you, be nice and be friendly, but there's somebody else watching the whole situation. And the first thing that he said to me was, oh, you're traveling by yourself? Are you traveling by yourself? And I thought to myself, you don't know me. Why are you asking me that? And why do you want to know that? Like, if you are on a tour with someone together, then you would say, oh, hi, you know, where are you from? You know, or blah, blah, blah. But you don't say, oh, you're traveling by yourself. You know, like that was a red flag. So I happened to have met someone from South Carolina on that tour. Her name is Roy, and she was there with her daughter who works at BMW, and she lives in Munich. So, and they live in Greer, South Carolina. So that was pretty awesome. They were actually there for me, I think, because I was approached. So, there's just being safe traveling. You need to know your surroundings always. You need to be alert always. You know, I happened to, I needed my passport, so I took it with me, but I did not need to walk around with my passport in Belgium because I'm already there. But you want to separate and leave your money in different places, you know, and stuff. Carry a backpack. I always had a backpack with me. I always brought bottled water. You know, when I fly, I go in and I stop at the grocery store the first day and get my water, get a couple snacks and things like that. So it's kind of fun to go to the local market too. And then you always want to have your plugs. So make sure you get these plugs. because I do bring my curling iron or sometimes my flat iron, and I'm going to need to plug in. So I hope you've enjoyed my little video of my time in Belgium. It is a beautiful country. Some things I did not get to do, which I wish I had, was there is a museum of Bonaparte, and it's the War of 1815. It's the, let me think, because there was two, it's a Waterloo. So there's a great museum, and that is not far from Brussels. So I wish I had the time to have done that. And the other one is, if you can go south, Luxembourg is not far. It's about 3 hours, but I would almost spend the night, because you can do Luxembourg, which is another country. But when you're down there's another war museum, and it is the Battle of the Bruges, Battle of the Bulge, the Battle of the Bulge. And that was where Germany was defeated. So there is a lot of history and a lot of things that did happen in Belgium, because you have Germany to the north and France to the south. It's just a great country. The people are very friendly there. And anyway, I hope you have a wonderful time on your adventures, and don't be afraid to go out and explore new territory. Thanks.